Hi, I'm Tom Moeller. This is the 94.7 FM The Word Book Club, and my guest is the author of Hope and Healing for Depression. It's a workbook, and he's Dr. Gregory Jantz. Greg, thank you for joining us.
Good to be with you today, Tom. And yes, depression is a big topic.
It is, and I wanted to ask from the very beginning, how common is depression, and is it getting more and more common?
Well, since post-pandemic, we have seen the numbers skyrocket. Depression is one of the most common diagnoses that we have. And if you go to your primary care physician, you usually are asked some questions that relate back to depression. And so depression and anxiety are the number one diagnosis in our country.
And is this because of our culture, and particularly endemic to our country, or is it kind of a universal condition?
I'm going to say somewhat universal, but we're going to say there are higher numbers here in our country. And we've got to mix in what's happening to our youth. And social media influence, Tom, is significant as it relates to depression. We do know that the more time you spend in social media, the worse you're going to feel. So there you go. We also know that our 12 to 17-year-olds are especially being impacted by depression. So it is dropping to younger ages.
And you had mentioned since the pandemic, it has grown. So that was related to the pandemic and the fact that we spent so much time in isolation because of the pandemic?
During the pandemic, there was a significant isolation, and we saw the social anxiety numbers go up. We saw kids failing in school, for example, and there just really hasn't been a good recovery from the effects of that. So it did amplify. We live in a culture where there is a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, and we're finding that the depression rate has gone up significantly, even in our 30-year-old range. So this is affecting a large group of people.
Now, Hope and Healing for Depression is a workbook, a part of the Christian Counseling Workbook series, Overcoming Life's Challenges, through the American Association of Christian Counselors. You say in the book, hope and healing are never out of reach, specific to depression. And you back up that claim with a whole lot of a whole person approach involving the emotions, relationships, physicality, and biblical spirituality. So the whole man, you deal with the whole man.
We believe in the whole person. In the early 80s, we began to integrate the whole person care into mental health. So this is our 41st year of integrating the whole person. So we're a facility where people come and fall all around the country to get help for depression. And it's because of that whole person approach. And we see depression as a 1,000-piece puzzle. It's a puzzle, and we, with God's help and discernment and wisdom, are all about what are the missing pieces to this person's depression. Is there physiological issues going on? What's the contribution to trauma or emotional issues? So we want to put the complete picture together and find those missing pieces.
And what's interesting, as you put it that way, every one of us are unique. And so you say that you have these 1,000 or more pieces unique to the individual. So one size doesn't fit all, it can't fit all. And you are reflecting the fact that God has created us all differently with a whole lot of different pieces that some could be missing.
And, reason why we did the workbook is we want you to engage and participate in the material versus just read and skim over. We know we can help put together an action plan, and part of the workbook is to help you discover what are my missing pieces to the puzzle. Is it, do I have hidden, unresolved hurt, anger, unforgiveness? What is contributing to the toxicity of depression in my life?
It is a workbook which can function, as you just said, of sort of a self-help book for the person suffering from depression. Do you recommend it for a self-help, or should a person from the get-go have a counselor that the counselor and the person can go through together?
Well, if you've been suffering and it's longer than 3 months and you've really been struggling and depression's not getting better, get in with somebody that can work with you. And this can be adjunctive to the process of receiving counseling. But we really want to make sure that you are going to find what is the missing pieces to my puzzle. And this is to help you do that in the good hands of a good counselor.
I I like the way you put the missing puzzle thing, and the fact that as perhaps a prelude when you're feeling certain symptoms, rather than just self-diagnosing out of uh, lack of knowledge. You do a lot of teaching in that book as to what to look for and so forth. But you say that after 3 months, if it's still persisting, you would really do well to have somebody help you with the process.
Well, I believe so. And we want to have the support, the accountability, and also the wisdom of a good clinical counselor that can help us find, okay, what hasn't been looked at? That's just because we've seen thousands and thousands of individuals over 40 years. I do believe there's healing. I do believe that we can find missing pieces to the puzzle. I do believe that hope comes when we create a plan. And we need a plan. Sometimes we need a new plan. But that usually comes from the wisdom of others helping us.
Uh, you clearly say in the workbook, it takes patience, dogged determination, courage to confront painful issues, openness to new ideas, and a commitment to change long-standing behaviors. So you can't just shrug your shoulders, read a book or read a workbook and say, I'm done. You really lay it out. It takes work.
Absolutely. It does take work. Now, when you're depressed, you feel a lot of apathy and you feel like, oh, nothing's going to work. And that's why we need somebody to come alongside us. There is a type of depression that really can lead us to despair. You feel a deep, dark despair, and that despondency, you lose hope. And that's where we start to have irrational thinking. That's where we start to think, oh, it'd be better if I wasn't even alive. And we begin to think things that are actually not only detrimental, but they're dangerous. So I really do believe that you need to walk alongside. And the longer that we've had depression, yeah, it just is a sign that there's a missing piece to that puzzle. We're going to get there.
And that puzzle, again, as we said at the beginning, it involves the whole person, emotions, relationships,
Yes.
physical situations, and biblical spirituality. You are a Christian, obviously. You can see that in the content of your book. You don't just put thoughts together and then sort of go, oh, yes, and there's God. I mean, he's very much at the center of your work.
Absolutely. It's the foundation. Why? Because that's what we see gives us over time sustainable results. And that's what we want. We do want healing. We do want recovery. We want this to last. And that's why we've got to get in there. Sometimes we have to dig deep. Sometimes, for example, if you've got a low thyroid or you've got certain digestive issues, you're going to feel depressed and anxious. Well, we want to look at your blood work. We want to know what's going on. Are you low in vitamin D? So that's part of the whole person.
Now, you speak of coming to you, a place of hope is what we're talking about. Talk just a little bit about is it a clinic or your treatment place?
Sure. 40 years ago, we founded the center, A Place of Hope, and it is a facility where it's beautiful. I'm looking out the window, gorgeous mountains, the water. We're in a very beautiful place. So we serve folks who come in from all over who we do this whole person care to help them with that long-standing depression. We do believe, and we do it as a team. We're going to cover those medical issues. We're going to look at your blood work. We're going to look at issues of faith. We're going to look at trauma in your life. We're going to look at, a person that has a very poor diet. That's going to contribute to depression symptoms. So it's part of the whole person.
You bring up a very poor diet.
Yes.
I mean, oh wow, I see all these ads on television about take this for that and that for this, and I tell my wife, if people would just diet and exercise and eat well, they wouldn't need all that stuff.
Yes, and getting movement again, and when you're depressed, you don't feel like, if I say go outside and go for a walk, you don't feel like it. That's why we need help.
That's just a personal insight on my part as I grumble at the TV and some of the shortcuts, because what you're talking about is not a shortcut. You're talking about a real determination to dig in and take care of it. In the workbook, you do a lot of instruction. So I've been blessed not to my knowledge, have depression issues. And so it's something that's sort of foreign to me. But the instruction and the things that you cite that take place in people's lives who suffer from depression was really, really instructive. And I know that if I had depression that was going on in my life, I'd want to know what to look for and whether I'm okay. So the instruction is very, very helpful, in addition to the workshop type of stuff that you have, and so that people can really be on target and self-knowledgeable. And do you find that that just going through the workbook can get people out of the other end without having to call for help?
If it doesn't, then call for help.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you can start that way. You can start that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a wonderful chapter on the 3 deadly emotions: anger, fear, and guilt.
Yeah.
So you pick that word anger. Another word for anger could be hurt. And maybe I have unresolved hurt. Maybe I have unresolved forgiveness or bitterness, and I need to examine that. Another deadly emotion could be anxiety and fear. What is contributing to so much fear in my life? And the third potentially dangerous emotion is that of guilt or shame. Shame says, I feel like I'm defective. I'm unlovable. Even God can't love me.
Mm.
And so we want to look at what role do possibly anger, fear, or guilt have in contributing to depression in your life. That's a fabulous chapter where we just dig into a lot of things that you can work on that are super important.
I'm speaking with Dr. Gregory Jantz. He's the author of Hope and Healing for Depression. And it's a workbook, as we've been talking about. And Greg, you had mentioned that particular chapter. Let me run down the chapters that are in the workbook, because they really illustrate the whole man type approach that you're talking about. Each chapter is in a workbook format, as I say, where you can answer a lot of questions for yourself, honestly and directly, and a lot of instruction that will help give you some insights into what you're feeling, and deals with the relationship, each chapter, of stress to depression. Another chapter that, as you just said, Greg, deal with unresolved anger, guilt, and fear.
Yes.
And those are related. Forgiveness, which is a big thing. And boy, I tell you, on our Christian radio station, we have so many teachers that deal with how to forgive, and you need to forgive. And then addiction, and of course, forgiveness can be at the very center of that. I want to deal specifically with another couple other chapters afterwards, but if you want to comment on the format of the chapters and how you format the book in the chapters.
They're super user friendly. We don't use a lot of big jargon and words. We just want to get right in there, make it easy. And I'm going to use the word simple. And then, a workbook means, and I got it right. A workbook means I'm going to need to do a few things, and I'm going to have to change my life. I got to work on a few things. So I got to get a pen and paper and start writing sometimes. Go, okay. And just so you can reflect and think about a few of these things that are so important to look at. Maybe you come from a family where there's a long history of depression. And it seems like everybody in your family. That doesn't mean that you have to be. So we want to at times break old patterns that could be in your life. So am I passionate? Yes, because I see lives change for good. And sometimes I hear people say, I wish I wouldn't have suffered so long.
Yeah. You also do real life examples. I'm assuming those examples of so-and-so experienced this and he felt that. I'm assuming those were examples from your 40 years of work in the
yeah, some good examples. Yes.
And so you get to see chapter by chapter, not only the instruction as to what people might be going through in that chapter, such as anger, guilt, and fear, but also examples, real life examples of what has taken place. I especially want to address how digital devices impact depression. You brought up the fact that our social, what do they call it? Social.
It's the social media influence.
Yeah, social media influence is huge and very, very detrimental. Tell us about that.
Sure. Well, there's such thing as digital addiction. We get really addicted to our devices. Try going 3 days without your device. When people come and see us, anything with a screen, we take temporarily. And day 2, a lot of people have sweaty palms, heart rate goes up, they feel it in their gut. They're having withdrawal symptoms. So we need to look at what are we putting in our mind through social media, through the digital. Not everything we're putting in our mind is good. And if you're doom scrolling all the time, you're going to feel bad. And social media teaches us to compare ourselves. You look online and go, oh, it look like they're having the greatest time ever. I'm not. So it's always about comparison. You will feel worse. So sometimes we need to do a little bit of a digital detox. Take a break long enough, kind of. And what we're finding is many of our clients, when given the opportunity to have their phone back after a few days, many of them say, you know what, I think I am doing better without it right now. And they're able to focus on their work versus be distracted. So digital device can distract you from the things you really need to be doing. And we always lose track of how much time. We say, well, I was only on it for a half hour last night. It was really 2 hours because you lose. It's like an addiction.
Sure.
How many beers did you drink? Well, I had 1 beer, but it was really 6. Mm-hmm. That digital addiction can contribute to our depression symptoms.
And that is documented. It's just not a thing that says, well, we believe. That is truly documented, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Now, you offer a very and I really appreciate this, a very strong and I would say a thorough prescription for a person's relationship with God in your chapter titled Strength Through Soul Care.
Yes.
It's a complete chapter where the earlier chapters you indicate uh, the various aspects of depression, but you devoted a chapter that is foundational to everything that's in healing, and that's God. Tell us about that chapter.
Yeah. If we suffer from depression, a lot of times we don't feel lovable. We maybe feel like God doesn't care. God cares about others, but not us. And so there really is a renewing of the mind, renewing of the spirit. And I think at some point there is really allowing God to love us through these difficulties. And I can only tell you because of the many lives that I've seen, um, this issue of faith and knowing and confidence in God's plan for you, um, it comes together as you get help for depression. It's not the first thing, but it will come together. It will come together.
And I would imagine that you've had a fair amount of people come to the Lord who came initially because of their depression, and over time they came to the Lord.
Well, we come to that place, we realize I need help that's beyond me. Absolutely.
Now you start the workbook. You're talking about hope, and people in depression just feel like they have no hope.
Yes. No.
But then you present later on not only the steps where hope can begin to dawn, but chapter I don't know what the chapter is, but you get to personal soul care, where hope truly is anchored in a relationship with Jesus Christ.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I'm reminded of the verse in 2 Timothy 1:7 that says, "For the Lord hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind." Recovery from depression is all about, with God's help, creating a sound mind.
Again, we get right back to what you had said early in the book, that it takes patience, dogged determination, courage to confront painful issues, openness to new ideas, and a commitment to change long-standing behaviors. And so it's not just shrugging your shoulders and say, "Yeah, I've seen Dr. Jantz, and boom, I'm whole." Even, yeah, I've accepted Christ, and therefore everything is okay from this moment on. It can be, but like everything else, the Lord has some work for us to share in whatever He does within us.
Well, certainly can be bumps in the road for all of us. I think it's called being a human being.
Now, people can get more information on your website. Is that correct?
One of the things, and I've been involved, by the way, with the American Association of Christian Counselors 25 plus years. And so there are great counselors available. It's a great resource to have. And then we also have our website is aplaceofhope.com, aplaceofhope.com. And there we've got a online depression questionnaire, depression test that's confidential. It's a good place to start and just see how you score. It's just a nice place to start, aplaceofhope.com.
And then you get this workbook, and that's another great place for a follow-up beginning. And then, as you say, the American Association of Christian Counselors. We will have on this video a link where people can buy the workbook.
Nice.
But give me other information as to where people can get the workbook.
Should be available in most all your favorite places.
Okay.
You get it from us. You get it from American Association of Christian Counselors as well. So,
and your place is a place of hope. www.aplaceofhope.
that's it.
Any closing statement that you want to?
I just want to say there's hope. Remember, hope comes when there's a plan, and this workbook's all about helping to put together a plan.
Well, I appreciate so much what you have done here. It's very instructive to me, and I certainly recommend that book and have enjoyed speaking with you.
You got it. Good to be with you.
I'm Tom Mueller. This has been the 94.7 FM The Word Book Club. You can join me every weekday from 6 until 10 in the morning on 94.7 FM The Word, where I introduce the teaching features and give traffic and the weather and hopefully say something clever. So join us on 94.7 FM The Word also. Thank you.